Jan, are we already recording? We are already recording. Perfect. So, today, Thursday, February 12th, 2026, it is 6:04 p.m. This is the Board of Directors, Windham School District meeting, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Um, Correspondence. Kate, is there correspondence or anything that you would like to share that maybe isn't already on the agenda?
No.
Okay. Um, we did get, I know, Bob, you've resent that out. But from the education legislation report,
Yep.
there's a lot of information in there, and there's stuff that we will be getting to, but there is a nice printable version that is included in that Kate, if we can get that out to families if they don't already have it, just as a snapshot as to what's going on. We'll touch on it more under new business, but as far as correspondence, that's all I have. Um, and public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment? On Zoom for our minute taker, we have Michael Pelton and Sarah Edelman. And that's all we have so far on Zoom. There's nobody in the room here with me. Um, so if either of you have public comment, if not, we'll move along. Okay, hearing none, we can move along to changes to the agenda. Um, Anything, Kate, that you want to add or see different to the agenda? Okay, I'm good with it as well. Um, if Dan hops on and decides that there's something we should be discussing that's not on there, we'll address it then, but we'll move along to new business. Bob, superintendent's report, you're up.
Yeah, thank you. A couple quick things, and I know some of this we'll get into with the legislative stuff as well. But there was a map that was proposed by House House Ed Committee Chair Peter Conlon. He says it's for discussion only. We'll see where that goes, but the map, just for our purposes, has our entire SU yeah, there it is, minus Marlboro. Marlboro goes with the southeast kind of group. The rest of us would go towards Windham Northeast in the Bells Falls area. I don't know what the logic was there. I mean, there's only one road that kind of connects us with that side because the Putney Mountain Road you can't do in the winter. So not really sure, but anyways, for discussion only. So that's what he's proposed. Emily Long has been in a couple of meetings that I've been in, where she has expressed to people, please reach out to your legislators and share your thoughts, feelings, concerns, well wishes, whatever you have around the map as proposed. But they do feel like the governor has been fairly strongly suggesting, and maybe more than suggesting, that there will be a map. And then we have to have that done before you can move into some of the other stuff. So we'll see how it all plays out. In the end, I think it's anyone's guess at this point, but it's there for your consideration. The other thing that I would just highlight for my office is that we have a resignation of our director of student services. This is her first year with us. She's a veteran special educator, 30 plus years in public schools in Vermont, but she has decided that administration is not her bag, not her cup of tea. And so she is going to be resigning. And so have reposted that position already, looking for a new director of special education. So spread that word. And then the last thing officially that I have February, as you saw in my cabinet report, is School Board Appreciation Month. Woo! So I just want to say thank you to you guys. Just know that here at Central Office, we certainly appreciate what you guys do. We know that you're, in essence, volunteers, putting in a lot of time of your own to ensure the connection between your students' education in the various places that they are and your communities. And you guys have had a tumultuous few years, but I want to just say thank you for the work that you do and that you continue to do. And just know that you are appreciated by us. And I'm sure your constituents as well. So happy National School Board Recognition Month. whatever we call it. There you go. Look at that heart. Thank you, Sarah. Nicely done. Um, and that's pretty much all I have, but I'm open to any questions as well. I know there's another item below for me to talk about with residency, but I'll pause there to see if there's any questions. Oh, you're muted, Abby.
Any questions for
There
Bob?
you go.
Okay, you can move on to the residency and tuition. I can
Can I
talk.
cut in real quick?
Yes, you may.
Sorry, I couldn't get to the thing to raise my hand quick enough. Given we have students at Leland and Gray, both in sixth grade and in high school, I was wondering if Bob might touch base real quick on the shenaniganry that occurred with some sort of protesty thing.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a protest. Basically, in essence, what happened was a staff member had shared some information about a protest. There were folks that felt that the sharing of the information was in a way that was slightly slanted towards participating in the protest. Nonetheless, she shared that with her own students in her own classes. Um, Separate to that, a student hung up some signs advocating in the building for students to participate in said protest, which involved skipping school. That caused a bit of confusion for people, particularly middle school students who didn't understand what was happening. And so, based on that standard of substantial disruption to school operations, the principal had the student remove the signs. And I mean, I think there was stuff on Facebook that was pretty loud and out there. But once the facts of the case were gathered, and the district had a special meeting last week to kind of share that out and talked about what went on with the investigation and the executive session with the principal and so on and so forth. But they shared out that basic narrative um, as well. So I think things have moved on. It was maybe a tumultuous day or so, kind of people kind of all worked up, but in the school building itself, I think there wasn't a lot of tumult. I think there was some confusion around middle school kids, but basically everyone else had a normal day. So that's how I would characterize it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. All right, I'll move on to the next one, Abby. Yeah. Okay. So we received a bill for a student. And I'm not going to get into the particulars because it's going to be personally identifiable because of small numbers of people. But I think there was a new enrollment in a public school outside of our SU. We received a bill for a student to pay, but we had no idea the student even lived in Windham or was a resident of Windham. And so it led us to like think about, well, wait a minute, I thought we had set up this situation where we have this stuff online. So I just wanted to revisit what we did not long after the building closed, and we shared a protocol that we put up on the website. You guys had reviewed, I think, a residency affidavit to demonstrate residency. I think we modeled it on the Stratton one, as I recall. And in the absence of a school building website, the town took on this information on the town website, and I just want to say, I think it's clear. It might not be. I'm happy to review it with folks if they want to, but somehow a family moved in and then registered their child. The school had them provide some residency proof. It wasn't to the standard that you guys would have asked for, and then sent us a bill. And so, I think Nicole confirmed with B that in fact they do in fact live there, and so we, I think authorized the payment of the bill. But it led to the question of like, how do we want to think about this? We thought that would catch people going through the website or through the town office, but perhaps didn't, at least in this one case. So I am open to suggestions if you guys have had a chance to maybe reread what's on the website. Think about whether or not it is clear or not, and think about how we want those affidavits going. So in Stratton, they submit it to the town, and the town has a person who basically reviews them, who's under the town's payroll, and then they submit to me sort of their recommendation, if you will, because the superintendent has to be the one that determines that residency. And so that person sends me a thing, and I go, "Yep, it sounds right," or we question it or whatever. And then there's a process if we deny residency, they can appeal it to the board, so on and so forth. So the board isn't typically involved until there'd be an appeal. Um, so that's how Stratton does it. I think we can do it however we want to do it, but that's one way. And maybe because B was new, maybe I need to spend some more time with her or Nicole does to kind of walk through that. But before I even dug into that and bothered people at the town office, I just wanted to see what you guys thought you might remember from how we set it up and take a look at the paperwork and see what you think we could do to just improve it because we don't want people slipping through the cracks. We want residency proven in order to pay tuition bills. We don't want you paying bills for people that don't live there, right? I mean, that's kind of the idea. So, um, and it looks like Heidi just turned on her camera. Hi, Heidi. So maybe she has something to add to this too. I don't know.
Well, can I jump in here, Abby? Um, I just want to say that I'm going to bring the same thing up that I've recently brought up to Stratton, and if Marlboro ends up going non-operating, one of the weights of our students is poverty, and for students that are going out and getting tuitioned out, we don't always catch that because private schools, for any number of reasons, don't collect that information. So as we consider how we're going to move forward, I'd like to suggest that we're looking into documents that have to be filled out annually to confirm potentially residency that they haven't left, and also has them fill out an electronic form that goes straight to the state on household income. It's a form that's used pretty widely in Vermont now because of having universal meals. People don't fill out free and reduced lunch forms anymore. And so I just want to make sure we're getting all the students and all the weights possible, because ultimately that is to your advantage. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I've recently talked to Stratton about that too.
Thank you. Thank you, Heidi. I can talk with B, who's our town clerk. I know it is on the website. It's clear. Generally, when people come into town and they're looking to figure out education, then one of the first places they're going to ask is the town office. Um, so I can definitely connect with B. And as far as that form, would that be something, Heidi, you would think would be added to the website?
You're
Oh, you're
muted.
muted now.
Sorry. Yes, I do believe so. It's something that I want to roll out with our IT analyst, Samson, because he and I work closely when it comes to capturing all the students and making sure we have everything done correctly for getting our reimbursement or student costs from the state. So it would be a form that we would come up with, that there could be a hard copy on the website, but also a link, because I feel that many people would rather do it electronically and know it's confidential going to the state than necessarily passing through local people's hands.
Okay, Michael, I see your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have things added to the website just so people can be informed clearly. And I think it's a good idea to make sure that we get the proper weight and all that hootenanny. The one thing I would be very careful about, though, is that our town clerk does a lot. We don't pay our town clerk very much. And if the district wants to add work for the town clerk to do, then I believe that the district should pay the town clerk to do extra work, because she's not a district employee. And if there's work to be done, then it should go through the district via the district's costs, not the town's. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Quick response to that, Abby. I would just say that I think I appreciate what he's saying. I'm sure she's incredibly hardworking and is probably underpaid, like all public people tend to be. But I would say that the onus of proving residency saves you guys money. in the sense that if we're not paying out tuition for people that aren't really residents. So it's in the town's interest as well as the SU's interest to get that information accurate. So it's a shared interest, I would say.
I can't disagree with that, but the onus was on the district/supervisory union before, and if we're going to make the town do that work, I don't know.
Actually, Michael, the onus was on the admin assistant at the Windham school before. It was never on the SU office. It was always done locally by the school district. But you just don't have anyone to do that because you don't have employees anymore. So we're happy to help out. Nicole is happy to do whatever working with B. It's just a matter of we like I said, in Stratton, they actually have their own person that does the preliminary work. I still write the letters and all the other legwork that goes along with verifying it, improving residency and authorizing it. But often we don't know if someone actually legally lives in town. We have to confer with the town clerk anyway. So I think it's a reasonable shared cost of action. Would be my suggestion.
We definitely need to be kept in that loop because we're the ones that the central office, the business office is going to get the bills. So there needs to be shared communication, whether she's collecting the information, verifying residency, and passing it on to our office.
I suspect the volume is not very high of people coming in to claim residency. So, I mean, I'm sure people could send it to us. We could just make a phone call with her and double check it. So I'm not sure how much work it would be, but yeah, anyways.
Go ahead, Kate.
No, I think B is very good about saying what she can and cannot do. And I think we could just ask her. And I think she would either say, yeah, or like, ugh, and then we would know. So I love what Michael pointed out. I think that's really valuable and I'm sure anybody would want to hear that. We think you're underpaid and we value your time, but we could just ask her and see what she wanted to do. I know she didn't have any problem taking the phone call that she did for the, it was, and again, we're not talking about a massive influx of students. And if it becomes too much work, we'll make a plan B, but we could at least check in with her first. Do you want that to be, how formal of a process do you want that to be, Abby?
Oh, what was that of a process? I couldn't quite hear you.
How formal of a process? Do you want to talk with her, or do you want me to talk with her and we put on the agenda for next time after we speak with her? Or do you
If you would like to do that, that would be wonderful. I've got lots of sticks in the fire right now, so that would be a huge help. And essentially, it's other than the residency, you're talking about the form, which would also be part of that verification paperwork, right, Heidi? So it would be a matter of having that form online. And I believe then when people want to go apply, it's all done online for the most part. It shouldn't be too big of a burden for the clerk. Am I misunderstood in that?
Well, the residency affidavit's a paper form they have to attach stuff to and then sign and then submit. So that they have to print it out and do it on paper. There would be a link to the online thing that Heidi's talking about for the poverty information, but the actual documents are all hard copied.
So they would go into the town office and sign that with the clerk.
Yep.
Ideally. Okay.
Yep.
And
we can work it out. B can reach out to us. They can fax it to us. We can email, scan it, whatever. We can figure out how to.
And is there a deadline that this should be in by yearly if we're going to do this every year?
Well, I think when people move in, if they're a new move in, obviously it'd be whenever they move in, but tuition bills come at different times based on which school and district they're coming from, right, Heidi? So
yes, but I would say if we had people ask them to get it filled out by August 1st, so that some schools start sending things as soon as September, we don't run to pay them until we've had verification of the students. But, there are people, the different schools are usually looking in October, November to have the first semester paid.
And that coincides with the data collection around the student counts and the long-term wait ADM as well. So that's actually the time of year we'd want to ensure everyone is already, online and ready to roll. So,
yeah.
So, and my understanding is, just so that it's, very clear, we're looking at all the students to be every year resubmitting their residency. Is that correct?
Not the residency. I think the financial form, right, Heidi?
Well, it's my suggestion that we do some sort of an annual form to confirm where the student is attending and that the family is still living in Windham, and then have the link filled out for the poverty
So maybe the renewal of that is not the same as the original affidavit, which is pretty
Exactly.
hefty. So maybe it's like a secondary like form that we can create that's like if you're already enrolled in
Yes,
Wyndham, this is your annual review. But if you're new to the community, here's the affidavit you fill out. So we could
exactly.
separate two different things.
That would
Yes.
be ideal.
I can make that form as well and send it up. Kate, if I get that to you, maybe you can work with V to get it online as well.
Go team. Perfect. Yes, Kate.
I just wanted to point out this is a conversation I've had in other community groups of how easy it is here for somebody to get a house and slip through the cracks, and none of us know who they are. So this is something that I'm also going to bring up to Dane and Becky are on the is it community events? I forget. We need an acronym, but anyway, as something that is part of a packet that gets handed out to residents, so that because otherwise, if you didn't know how, I like to think people would check a website, but it's not hard to imagine that if they their choice, and then all of a sudden, so anyway, I will add this to that conversation as well.
Well, and in fact, once we have the information, the annual renewal thing, we can automate that sending out to people because if once they're in our system as being residents,
Okay.
we're collecting the data on them. We have them in Alma, our information system, and so we can actually auto send out something every August or September and say, here's the new annual thing. People who are in it. So it's just the new ones moving in that are the tricky part.
Right.
Would
That's a
that
great suggestion.
would that count though if they're not in going to a school in the SU?
Yeah, we need to collect the information regardless because you guys get credit for them. If they're your student, you get the ADM for them no matter what, and then you're just paying money out for the placement.
No, I'm just asking if there would be a situation where somebody wouldn't be in your system if they were going to a school outside of the SU.
No,
There-
every one of your resident
Oh,
students are in our
because we have
system.
to
Yeah,
because we
we
pay
wouldn't.
for that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't need to necessarily annually do it for the students who are attending school in our SU because those schools would actually do the same thing. As my guess, Heidi's leading
Yes.
that direction.
Yes.
So it would be the ones who are outside the SU that we have to collect it for.
Understood.
All right, thank you for that conversation, guys. That was good.
Very good. So
You'll
and
let me
we'll
know,
know
Kate.
more. We'll have more updates and know more for the next meeting. Um, so next is update on the substitute bus driver position. Is there any news for us as far as what's going on with that?
Yes, this may involve a motion. Abby, you'll have to help me out. I took a field trip and I rode the bus one day with Cord and talked to him for a bit. And there is a gentleman in town who was interested in a public position. I have his email. I'm going to forward it to the SU since this bus driver would be of their hire. Cord vetted him a little bit as a friendly human who would be interested. But where I'm wondering if we need a motion or not is if I would personally like to be involved with the SU in that hiring process. But if Abby, you want to do that, or Dan or whatever, but that the board be somehow just involved in that hiring process for anybody. And that's what I'm checking in about.
Okay, so that is the hiring process. It's how you guys would do that. You guys would be hiring your staff, and it would be. Have you and Bob talked about this at all? Are you aware of this at all, Bob?
I mentioned it to Bob because I owe him the email with the gentleman's information.
Yeah. So what we would do is if you guys want to have a a person in the room, what we would do is we would have maybe Greg and our HR person and one of your board members meet with the candidate once they apply, of course, and review. And then we would start them through the process of getting fingerprinted and all that. And then once they're on board and you guys approved and the committee approved, then yeah, you'd have a substitute bus driver, which would be great.
Does this individual have a CDL already?
Not to my knowledge.
That takes a bit of time.
I know, but one is better than none.
No, and it's wonderful. I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure if they were like ready to
No,
jump in and had their certifications already. And it's also not cheap, and I don't know how that gets covered if they're planning to pay for that out of pocket. And what that looks like. Michael Pelton, I see your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the plan is, what the SU does normally for CDL hires. I mean, it has to be a CDL hire, and they have to go to school now because the federal government changed the setup. So I was wondering how that worked.
I mean, so it's a good question. We don't, your driver and I guess Marlboro and Dover both employ drivers too. But to my knowledge, they've all had their documents in order prior to me being on board. So I have not seen a new person get hired to do that work. So I don't know. I think a district could certainly, if the district was willing, they could certainly support financially that person in doing that work with some sort of an agreement around that they have to work for us and, following the completion of that work, or you could let the person pay for it on their own. I don't know the overall expense, but Greg would have a lot more information. Michael probably knows more about than I do. But if the district wanted to ensure that you had a backup or maybe even someone to replace Cord when and if he retires at some point, that could be, something you guys might want to invest in. But that's up to you as a board.
Now, Kate, and in your conversations with this individual, are they aware of the schooling? Are they aware of what they would need to do to become a bus
No,
driver?
I haven't spoken with them at all. I thought that was a little out of order with bringing it to a school board meeting first. So I have their email. Cord has discussed that might be something available, and they showed interest. That's the end of what I know. But I didn't want to go, run with that because I wanted to check in before I started a thing that we couldn't undo if there was some reason anybody knew of that we didn't want to do it that way.
So the concern that I have, because don't get me wrong, I think it would be fabulous to have substitute slash potential for when Cord, if and when decides to retire. But knowing the cost of what the schooling is and the different, oh, Michael, the certifications that you have, like there's different things for the levels to become a bus driver. You have to get bus driver B or whatever it is, certification on top of the CDL. And there's all sorts of costs that are associated with that, but it's also you're paying for the school, but there's not a guarantee that the individual, what if they don't pass?
yeah,
There's those kinds of expenses. And there's also a chance of, which we're going to segue into with their next part of the agenda, our legislative update, that our district goes away and where that's going to end us up with things. So I do have concerns. And I think when you talk with that person, Kate, have them look into that. And if that is an interest of theirs of like a career course or something that they're looking to do, even better for us because that's definitely more of the longevity. But if it was something like, oh, I just want to do something, I don't know, how long term we would be able to, retain that asset essentially if we invest in the individual.
I have a thought on that, but I know Michael's got his hand up too.
Go ahead and then we'll get Michael.
My other thought was, from a town perspective, if this, because I haven't talked to them personally, but I know they wanted to work for the town in some capacity, and a CDL is required for more than just the bus. That would be a lot of the equipment that's used on the roads and everything. So is there a way that we could justify that cost with a handshake agreement that they would, assist the town in various capacities with a CDL?
That would be a conversation as the other positions are within the town. So that would be a select board conversation. Michael is here, but at the same point, that's the, our road crew, I believe, is looking to potentially hire someone. And my understanding is that would be another full-time position. So I don't know if they would technically be able to do both. But if they're
Oh,
looking to get a CDL, there are different CDLs with those trucks
yes.
versus the bus. So those are all really great things, and that's wonderful to have somebody with that interest. So I just don't know how we would be able to kind of do both, right? Because it's the
Oh, I don't.
district versus the town.
I don't think this. I don't think they would. I think they would do the bus or they would do the. I'm just saying. I know there's different tiers for CDL, but that even if we supplemented the cost of that, it's not like it's not this. The bus driver certification, to my knowledge, is above a regular CDL, and so it's not like that would be wasted. And I do. I think it is worth talking about funding that because I can. I mean, or in some capacity. I mean, we would do that if there was certain programs that would benefit. Like, I mean, it seems like quite a big undertaking for an individual without the guarantee or support of any position after it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that 100%. Michael, I know you're here. You went through this. You were a bus driver for a while. What would that cost came out of pocket, did it not?
So the school didn't come out of pocket, but the laws were different then. So, but just to go take the test, it was around $500. Then you have the yearly, whatever it was. I can't remember the thing. I funded it all, so I basically I know I spent um, easily like $500 or $600. The school, I think you're probably looking at, and I'm guessing, mind you, so don't take it for um, just realize it's a guess, but you're looking at least like probably 10, but $10,000. I don't know, but I think before you commit to hiring somebody part time and funding their school, you probably ought to find out how much it's going to cost. I don't think it's a bad idea to help somebody get their CDL. It's like it's a cool thing to get the CDL. It makes you feel good in the end. The person would need to have a CDL B, Class B. I went for a CDL A when I went through, so that's like a semi. But it's a Class B, and then you need endorsements for passenger and school bus and so forth. And each thing is a different test, and then you have to take the bus or a bus or the equivalent of the bus that you're going to utilize for your license and go test with the bus. So it involved that person driving your bus to go take their test, which is fine. That's easy enough. But it's definitely something to think about. If it's the same person um, that we talked to or that I know about, that individual was not able to give us the hours. So it didn't, we ended up not hiring the individual. I don't know if it's the same person though, but um, it would be good to have a substitute bus driver. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. Um, yeah, so lots of information to share with that person and things that we can definitely collaborate more on. Um, so I would, talk with them, and if they are still very interested and want to, interview and do but that I think figuring out the schooling and all of that is what that cost is going to be and what is going to be needed, should definitely be very clear, going forward as to what that expectation is. Then we can kind of go from there. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Sure.
Awesome. Um, Anything else for the substitute bus driver position? Is this something that's advertised, Bob? Like, how is this getting out there?
I think it was just sounds like just Kate had a conversation with
It,
Cord.
it was it was word of mouth.
Yeah.
The gentleman talked to Cord. Cord mentioned that we were looking for someone.
Right, and I know we've been, but if we say when we're looking for someone, well, my question is, do we have an ad out? Is
I
there
don't, we
anything
haven't,
like is
we could put one out. We would actually need to put one out to have him formally apply anyways. So we could get it posted. If that's what you'd like me to do.
I thought we had something posted because we've been supposedly looking for a part-time bus driver for
I mean, I think we
a long
did
time.
initially maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, but that posting is probably expired. I don't know that we ever renewed it. I'll look into that. Tell you, I'll do that. But if it's not up there currently, I'll get one up there.
Perfect. And then that way we have, and where does that get posted?
It goes, we use a system that washes every evening with Indeed, um, School Spring, and might be one other national type thing that it gets pushed out to.
So
Um,
bus drivers would go to School Spring to look for
well,
bus.
no, that's sort of like the base. Our Power School is like the applicant tracking program that we use, and it talks to School Spring, and then School Spring pushes it out to the other things. So
Okay.
because we use it for all, teachers and administrators and everything. So, um, but I'll find out about that and we get something posted as a substitute driver. But I think the other thing I was just going to throw out there too. I don't know. I mean, if he's interested in doing this and it kind of works out and he's can do what he wants, then maybe some of the other bus companies in the area, I'm thinking of like West River, would have an interest in helping support paying for his licensure as well, because maybe they would also utilize him in some ways.
Yes,
So
there's definitely a
yeah,
large increase interest for folks with CDLs that are all
absolutely.
over the
So
place. So if this is something, Kate, that this individual's interested in, it's not a make or break decision with our specific district. There's definitely plenty of opportunity out there. So, but I also get the flair of wanting to help the community and do stuff within the community as well. So, um, excellent. So Bob will make sure that's if not still posted, but up and posted again.
Yeah.
So we're everybody good with moving on to legislative update? I'm gonna say, with what I've been following and the way things are going, the things do not, in my eyes, look good for Wyndham. Um, we are with that map. Actually, where did I put it? That I kind of showed earlier. It would be the one which we had. It looks like they took the map from the task force. Where it is, this map. Um, and one of the concerns when we had the whole urgent send mail to email and reach out to legislation, the last month um, was regarding that map and where we fell on that map. Um, I think a lot of the feedback that we got was a lot of concern. If this map, which they're putting forward, it looks like, Bob, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, that this is also supervisory district, correct?
I believe that's what Emily said the push is for right now is the supervisory district.
So, as a supervisory district, I cannot be more clear. We lose choice.
Well, let me add to that because one of the things I heard today, in fact, was that one of the things that's being discussed, and this is from Emily, so you could check in with her if you'd like, was that there was some kind of a thought process around how to establish either individual contracts between districts and independent schools, or some kind of what's the word they used? I'm not going to say it correctly, but like a set number of students that would be allotted to each supervisory district for students to utilize choice. In other words, let's say that district and that map came into effect, and they gave that district 100 slots, and 100 students could access independent school. And I would imagine that the slots would loosely align with the current number of students enrolled in independent schools, because you have Stratton and you have secondary for Dover and Wardsboro, you have elementary for you guys. Like there's other places, and I think even middle school for Grafton and Athens are choice. That they would maybe have those slots and people would just use those slots. And so it's possible that a supervisory district could, if they change the statute, still have some element of choice. But your guess is as good as mine. But I did hear that as a concept today floated out.
Yeah, and with the rough waters that this district has been through since I've been on this board, I do not have high hopes. I just don't. Wyndham just gets swept under the rug like the rest of the state likes to do with things. So I'm just going to plea yet again to the community to reach out to legislation. According to this map, we'd be part of a supervisory district. There may be conversations about reserving choice to that capacity where it sounds like Bobby had mentioned where there's like allocated spots. How we would ensure we would have those spots. That's all, again, if we are not in their ears, folks, if we are not telling our legislators what we want for Wyndham, they're not going to consider it. And this district, our Wyndham School District, will be no more, which will make big changes. It will impact transportation. It will impact mountain school kids. It will impact the people who are apparently going to Floodbrook. That will be no more. And as further consolidation continues, as it will likely continue to do, we could be looking at potentially down the road our high school being in Brattleboro. We don't know that, but there's all kinds of stuff that's been in the plan. So that's just what I wanted to make sure. Crystal, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
So I will share information with you guys as a board, and then Kate can send it out. So I am still working with Deb Bucknam because she is, involved in kind of like a statewide
Mhm.
case surrounding school choice. She's very interested in testimonial from parents who do not want to lose their school choice as part of everything that's happening. So I will share that information. And I will make sure it gets hung up at the meeting house, town clerk's office. There's posters that go along with the information. So I just want to put that out there that I still collaborate with Deb because I am a big supporter of K through 12 school choice.
Thank you, Crystal. That'll be very helpful. Um, yeah, we can have Kate forward that out. I'm also, Kate will get you the list of all the people on the education committee and um, different legislators that we can encourage folks to yet again send correspondence to, for families to send correspondence to our board with what, I don't know if we want to do another survey, Kate, and really get some more feedback from folks. But like I'm at my wit's end. I've screamed up at Montpelier plenty, as well as Michael has, as well as many others have. Um, and if the community is not following suit with that as well, I don't know, and that's a
Well,
scary thing. I think it's a very scary thing for Wyndham. So
I mean, I think the community is, and this is anecdotally speaking, but I can understand the overwhelm of having to fight more and more. And so a survey I think is a really great way to mitigate that because it goes in an inbox and you can do it on your phone and you don't have to draft it or figure it out or whatever. So if I could draft something up, you'll probably have to check my homework on it, but I could do something like that and we could see, because we had a pretty good and it wouldn't necessarily have to be families who responded to it is the other thing. Um, Technically it could be community members as well.
mhm.
And that would up the numbers if you wanted to do that and then send something out on behalf of, Windham School Board. Is that, oh, there's many
Yeah,
hands.
I mean, everyone needs to be on board and making their um, you know, visions heard. And I just want to clarify too, it does not do any good to send communications complaining without any idea of any kind of resolution. So if people have things they're upset about, please also produce ideas as to what you think would be better, because that's what they need to hear. They need to hear what do we want as a path, not just we're complaining or we're unhappy with X, Y, and Z. Um, oh goodness, I have Michael and Crystal's hands up again. Michael, and then we'll go with Crystal.
Yeah, I know we're thinking about school choice and the fact that we might lose it. I'm wondering if there's a component that could be discussed regarding the potential uh, changes in cost. I know it's all like hypothetical, but they're talking about a cap and all this other, let's call it hootenanny. Um, I'm a little bit concerned about how things might look if they put a cap in place, um, in both directions, really. If you think about it, we have pretty well fixed costs as a district. I got to take off. I'm sorry.
Sounds like my dogs have been being a little wild lately, so Crystal, go ahead.
Um, Bob can correct me if I'm wrong. The last map I looked at actually had us paired with Westminster, so it looked like
Yeah,
if
Wyndham.
Leland and Gray closed, we'd be at Bellows Falls. Now, for me, getting to Brattleboro is much easier than Bellows Falls.
I don't know if this can be seen, how close I can
But
get it, or you can
Bob
read
can
it.
correct me if that is not accurate.
No, it's the way that it's Windham Northeast and most of Windham Central. And yes, there are two high schools in that combined area, Bells Falls High School and Leland Gray.
Yeah, because there's Rockingham, Grafton, Athens, Westminster, Townsend, Newfane. Trying to read my own writing here. Marlboro, Wardsboro, Stratton, Jamaica, and Windham.
Brookline too, I think.
Oh, yes, there's the little, yes, there are a little
Yeah.
B in there.
It's squiggly. Yep.
Yeah. So that is the district, and that would be at the mercy of, like I said, depending on what happens, we don't know. So go ahead, Kate. I don't know if Michael's back.
I am.
Oh, do you mind if he finishes, Kate? Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we can look at it sort of two ways. Look at assuming we stayed as a district and assuming we had a non-operational school and assuming that this cap thing actually comes through, what does it look like financially? Because our costs are relatively fixed. The fluctuation will be whether it's like private school, public school. And I would assume, I think, I don't know, the last number I heard, and don't, it may not be correct, but I think it was something like 19,000 was the last public tuition number I heard or saw or something. It's probably totally wrong, but something like that. And as far as I could tell, the last cap that I heard was far less than that. And that could be a little bit concerning because
Right.
if we're paying 19 a student for public tuition and we have a bus in addition to that, we might end up in a situation where we have literally no choice but to go over cap. So that could be problematic. And I don't know that by fact. Heidi probably knows far better than anybody can predict than, you know what I mean? And then I also don't know, I mean, I don't know if anybody knows what a consolidated district might look like, and how that will affect the cost either. But I don't know.
Go ahead, Kate.
Well, I want to be, I can't think too far out very productively. And I just sort of wanted to respond to what Crystal said about like, if we have to go to Brattleboro, like somebody said, if Leland and Gray close. And to my knowledge, none of that's all an option, but it's not like no one has actually discussed Leland and Gray closing. This is sort of like I just want to be really clear about that, right? Like I think it would be a little presumptuous to plan. We have a lot we could plan for right now. I don't think we need to plan for the loss of a high school as well. And I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something. Is that correct? Like there is not actual formal discussion of that happening?
Yeah, Act 73 did not have anything in it about closing schools. Now, there are other mechanisms like minimum class sizes and the funding formula, which could drive schools to stay open or not based on their situation. But there's nothing specific in Act 73 about school closures. So, in fact, some of the earlier models had the big super districts contemplated having multiple high schools in a big district. The assumption wasn't that you're automatically traveling. Because there are places, bigger, city or urban and suburban places that have multiple high schools in one district. So it's not unheard of. It's just not what we typically do because we're so small. Yeah.
So that being said, I'm just gonna reiterate. So Kate, you and I can, I'll send you some stuff that you can forward out to folks. And it sounds like Crystal will get you some things as well. And then with that, taking some of that information to help formulate a survey, as well as encouraging people to communicate with us, communicate with legislators, the governor, even though I'm sure, he loves our emails. But it's something we have to be aware of and stay on top of. because it's going to impact a lot of things if this district goes away. Yes, Heidi.
Just want to sort of touch upon what Michael was talking about. I have a document that came from the business managers group today, just an overview of a lot of things that are happening. Tomorrow, I have my monthly business managers meeting up in Barrie, and I'm sure this is going to be a big topic. But the current spending cap, I just want to clarify, there's lots of options that have been put on the table. The current spending cap, and I'm just looking at the wordings to make sure I'm accurate, it's not a per pupil spending cap. It's a percent increase on the bottom line budget that they're discussing being tied to the NEPA, the National Income and Products Account. So like this year, that percentage was 2.8%, which is definitely a smaller increase than what your budget was. But they're pushing the fact that this is a good thing because unlike Windham, whose enrollment has actually increased, a lot of districts' enrollments are decreasing. And so the suggestion is with this spending cap, it will help with the volatility of enrollment decreasing substantially because obviously your student count is intertwined with how much money the state you get based on a student. So if you're like River Valley or Marlboro, who've lost a weight of 50 points potentially, there's a lot of funding that you're losing from the state. So I'm not suggesting that this is going to pass. I know from Emily Long that it is a popular thing, but there's pros and cons to it. But this is not the per pupil spending. The foundation formula, which is coming down the pike in a number of years, 3 or 4 years, is going to have a per student limit. And that's definitely going to hurt a lot of our school districts because of our spending is much higher. But I agree with you, Michael. And one topic at the business managers meeting is regarding how much tuition is, especially for some of the private schools, which obviously they're not all approved anymore. But the annual tuition hasn't been announced, but elementary is around 19.5, 19.6, and high school is much higher. So, I mean, it's something everybody is aware of, and business managers all over the state are working with legislators so that they're aware of the issues and the pros and cons that are going to affect all of our rural areas.
Thank you, Heidi. Well, that's pretty much all I have for the legislative update. And we will definitely be keeping this on the agenda. And Michael, your hand's up. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask what the per pupil threshold is currently.
16,400 this year, 470.
So if all of our elementary students chose to go to, let's say, Townsend, and we drove the bus to Townsend, we might end up in a serious pickle.
But keep in mind that per pupil cost is it's not an actual per pupil cost, it's a per long-term weighted ADM number, whereas a tuition dollar amount is an actual cost of a kid. So the two things are not really the same. What you pay in tuition, if you have 10 kids paying $20,000 each for tuition, your actual cost per pupil is not going to be $20,000 because those kids are going to have weights, and your actual cost per pupil it could still be below the threshold in that situation, depending on the weights of those kids. You see what I'm saying? It's like real kids versus the weighted kids.
I do. I'm wondering if Heidi might be able to provide what that might look like if, let's say, all of the students went to a public school, i.e. Townsend, and what that would look like with the weights included and so forth.
I mean, I can do that. Certainly for the next meeting, I can take the amount of kids you have currently and what that cost is to Townsend versus the cost that you're paying a couple different entities I think what would be more important for you to know and what I can bring to the next meeting or share for the next meeting is what the weights you get for every individual student. So I have a sheet that will tell you, for instance, there is no weights for elementary students, but there's a certain weight for a high school student. The poverty is a 1.04. So for every child that you send to school that is poverty, it's now over 2 children. There is a weight for rurality of where you live. So I think that would be helpful also, which is another step in showing why I care so much about trying to catch the household income of all these families to make sure you're getting the weights you need. So when I sit down and figure out what your per pupil spending is, it's taking the weighted number. So maybe you have 22 kids, but the weighted number is 47. And so it's the 47 that we are taking with your spending and dividing it up and then multiplying times the yield to come out with your tax rate. So like what Bob said, it's not a straight to this is what tuition is and this is how much you're getting for a child. So I'm happy to do both those things, provide just so the oversight so that you can see what your kids fall into, the categories that they're given weights. And then I'm happy to tell you what it would be for all the kids to attend Townsend versus where they're going right now. Does that sound right, Michael?
Yeah, I think that'd be a very, very interesting analysis. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
So Heidi, you'll be able to attend our next meeting in March to present that?
Can you remind me what day it is? Because my husband is having a complete shoulder replacement. And if it's that day, or it could be a problem.
Get the cooling ice pack.
That's what I'm,
Do it.
It's going to be a rough couple of months, I got to tell you.
It looks, I have it on the agenda and I'm looking on my calendar. It's March 12th.
Oh, yep, that's fine. I will be there. Yep.
Okay. So we'll make sure to have a spot on the agenda for you to do that. And that's before he has the stuff, or are you going to be?
It is. It's the week before. So that's good because
you'll be nursing. Okay.
Good plan.
Since you mentioned that next meeting, that's after your town meeting. So I will send you guys the materials for reorg so you can put that on your agenda when you build it. And then I'll help open that meeting and get a chair. So
excellent. Transportation agreement. Everyone good with us moving on? Perfect. So the transportation agreement, we received, Heidi had sent that out. I personally think that hits all the nails on the head that I wanted to see. It's been Bob had sent over the signed copy from Drew. I would still need to sign it. What I would like to propose is I would move that we would have the agreement just reviewed by Mark Ottinger. Whoops, throwing stuff. And also having it so that Mark Ottinger review the agreement and provide any insight as to how any of that agreement could impact, say, our district gets washed away. I think it becomes null and void, but because it's a contract, I think it's perfect. But I just wanted to.
You can certainly motion to approve pending legal approval or legal endorsement or whatever. Just know that if he doesn't approve it or he wants to change it, West River will have to re-vote on approving a new version.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. And that's not the goal. I think it hit, like I said, I think it hits the nail on the head. And I appreciate that going forward and the work for West River and Drew and getting that together. So do you have any further discussion on having that get approved by Ottinger, Kate?
No, I think that's a wise.
Okay. And so we would be looking at, I will get that sent out to him. And then I believe, weren't we saying the payments and stuff would go out in March? So you would need that agreement prior to then?
We'll wait to make the payment until we have a signed agreement so that you're getting what is agreed upon. So I would have paid it in March. If it's not done by then, we'll get it paid as soon as we have a signed contract.
So we'll add that to the next agenda as well. Hopefully by then we'll have heard back from Mark and it can be just signed and move forward, but just want to
Perfect.
dot the dots and cover our end. So,
Great.
um, okay. So I guess, um, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Meredith, that was a really weirdly worded motion. Are you comfortable with how that went through? Do you need any clarification on that?
Can you just repeat it one more time?
So, the motion, let's see, to approve, um, myself, Abigail Pelton, to sign the transportation agreement with West River pending, approval from our attorney, Mark Ottinger.
That works. That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Um, and so we can move on to old business, approving the minutes. I think you did a wonderful job, Meredith. I didn't catch a single spelling error or anything. Kate, did you have anything with the minutes?
Nope.
I moved to, I don't have it in front of me. Was it 1/8? I think it was the 8th.
Uh,
Meredith, do you know? I
I'm
moved
looking. Hold
to,
on one second. Here, hold
okay.
on. Let me tell you. It is January 8th.
All right, got it. So I moved to approve the minutes for January 8th. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I'm going to duck out, Abby. Thank you and happy National School Board Month.
Thank you, Bob. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.
So now we're on to approving financials. This is for pay order number 9 in the amount of $88,278.96. I get that number right, Heidi? Okay. And in looking at that, I didn't see anything. We have tuition payments that are coming through in that. So in case anyone's like, holy moly, it's tuition payments and, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary on there. So is there anything that, um, well, let me start over. I move to approve pay order number 9 for the amount of $88,278.96. And we can have some discussion on that. Is there anything that you saw on there that you question, Kate, that no? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I'll get that signed electronically there for you, Heidi. And that is what we've got for the meeting. So, anything else, Kate?
Nope.
Just to like right around an hour, we got the meeting here. So, do you want to do the honors?
No, you can do it.
Okay. I move to adjourn at 7:06 p.m. Thank you all very much and stay warm. And we'll see y'all at town meeting.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Good night.
Night.